This is the M18 Hellcat, a Tier 6 American tank destroyer. A very, very strong tank as it is, one of the strongest performing Tier 6s in the game. Now imagine you gave this tank steroids, beefed it up in pretty much every statistic, and shoved it into a Tier 7. Well, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about in today's video in the form of the Super Hellcat. I'm, of course, your host, World of Tanks Blitz, and if you want to see more videos like this, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below, as it helps out the channel a crazy, crazy amount. Now, this is what the Super Hellcat is hopefully going to look like. I don't really know yet because we don't know if there's going to be a legendary camouflage for this tank. I'm hoping that it looks like this because this is, of course, what it looks like from World of Tanks PC, but you never know. It's wargaming, and sometimes they like to differentiate from World of Tanks PC to World of Tanks Blitz. Now, we're going to be talking about the statistics of this tank. One thing you need to keep in mind is these statistics are so early that this vehicle isn't even in super test yet. That is really, really early. Now, I'm not sure if they're even going to test it, but nonetheless, that means that these statistics can be subject to change, and if they don't seem good here or they seem too good, they might as well and very well change in the future, so just keep an open mind on that before we do get into today's video. But as you can see, I'm comparing it to the T25-2 and as well the Tier 6 counterpart, the M18 Hellcat, the little brother. Now, the Hellcat has some really good numbers going for it. Even though they are red, you need to keep in mind that 2,500 damage per minute for a Tier 6 tank destroyer is actually insane. Most vehicles at Tier 6, a good example of this would be like the Cromwell or the EZ8, are sitting at around 2,000 DPM. So the fact that this thing's got around 2,500 is a massive, massive amount of DPM more than your average Tier 6 vehicle. So even though the Super Hellcat doesn't seem like it's that good, it does have really good DPM for the tier it's at 2,763. It's also got decent penetration at 182. So those two values there are pretty solid. However, the premium pen, yeah, it could be better. You'll see the premium, it's at 243, which isn't bad, but it is bad compared to the T25-2's 258 as well, because the T25-2 is carrying the exact same caliber. It's got a little bit better reload, and its shell velocity is way better at 975. That is a major advantage. As we know, shell velocity can be a real pain in the butt when you're shooting, and while the shell velocity is again good on the premium for the Super Hellcat at 1066, it's again 15% better on the T25-2. Like, that's a big advantage for the T25-2. Shell velocity is something that you don't take for granted until you really notice that it's something that is super, super important. Now, aiming time, again, yeah, 1.54 on the T25-2 and 1.54 on the Hellcat, but 1.72 on the Super Hellcat, that's definitely a bit of a disadvantage there. It's not a huge disadvantage, but it is about a 10% lower aiming time. As well, dispersion, again, 0.326 compared to the 0.317 on the Hellcat. The on-movement dispersion, though, is very good, and in fact, its turret dispersion is way better than the M18 Hellcat, something that the Hellcat does struggle with a little bit, and the T25-2 don't even get me started on how bad the on-movement dispersion is. It's the main reason why the tank really, really struggles on shooting on the move, and you have to wait a long time for that aiming time to go back in. So even though the Super Hellcat doesn't have the best overall aiming time, it does have a decent aiming time, judging that it's got very good turret dispersion values, but I still would like to see that dispersion being way, way less, even better than the Hellcats, maybe at like 0.308. Now, gun depression at 9 degrees, it's good, but it's not as good as the 10 on the T25-2 and the Super Hellcat, and gun elevation is actually quite poor at 17 degrees compared to the 25 and 20 on both of the other vehicles. Now, mobility is the main advantage of the Super Hellcat, or is it? It's really not, actually, because you'll see the engine power, yeah, it's a little bit better than the Hellcat, but really not much. It's like 10 better, which means that yeah, the top speed's the same. The reverse speed is a big advantage. Going 20 in reverse is going to be great, and it's going to give you the ability to back up very quickly from really tricky scenarios, but 15 still is not bad for a vehicle like the Hellcat, and I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference, judging that the power-to-weight ratio really is 1% better. That is it, 1% better. The camouflage on the Super Hellcat is actually worse than the Hellcat, and not to mention, the effective horsepower-to-ton ratio on soft terrain is better on the Hellcat by quite a bit. So, overall, what do I have to say about the Super Hellcat? I definitely think it needs a bit of buffing. Not really overall, just on one small area, and that is the aiming time and the dispersion. I think that the dispersion should be brought to about 0.308, which would make it very accurate, and as well, the aiming time should be about 1.5, just about the same as the Hellcat. I think that if this tank had very good dispersion and a good aiming time with that good on movement, it would be very, very solid because you don't miss your shots. As well, I think shell velocity should be a little bit better. That wouldn't break the tank in any way. It would make it actually very good and very accurate, something that you'd wish out of a tier 7 variant apart from the tier 6, just kind of refining some of the issues on it. Now, of course, I'm playing a game in the Hellcat right now, and we're going to see just exactly how the tank performs, because in a tier 7 game, it can be very, very poor. One big advantage I'm actually looking forward to with the Super Hellcat is the hit points. It's going to be sitting at 1100 instead of 800. That's a 300 hit point advantage, and it's going to stop you from being one shot from most 152 millimeters, where, yeah, this tank's sitting at 848 hit points. Even with me having that 10% deduction, it's still going to struggle massively against HE. In fact, a vehicle like the SU-152 on the enemy team, yeah, we're just not going to talk about that. Great DPM, though, for this vehicle. 5.5 second reload is so incredibly good, and especially with that 10 degrees of gun depression, it really makes it a super duper flexible tank. There's a nice tap right into that VK already, and with that, we should be able to tap one more into him already. Here we go. Second shot going in for another 200, and well, are we going to be able to continue? No, doesn't look like he wants another. But we've already taken a good chunk off of him of around 450. This is a pretty solid example, though, of kind of what the Super Hellcat would be like if you were playing it, because, as we saw, the statistics are very, very similar. So let's get a nice tap into that Black Prince. Now, obviously, I don't really want to play with those tanks. Those are very, very deadly vehicles. And, oh god, back up. No, 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 no. Let's put on our adrenaline here. Maybe tap another shell to lower play that Vulcan. Not bad. We're getting some big old beefy shells out here. And we got that Black Prince off to the side. And hopefully he's going to start turning his tank off to the side, which means we get a nice tap into the side of him. Again, this is where that DPM is super duper strong in the Hellcat here. We've already tapped a pretty big chunk off of the enemy team, and we're just going to continue to do that as much as we can here. There's a nice max roll of 281. That, yeah, that Sherman Firefly obviously not enjoying life all too much. Another nice tap into him. Hopefully that IS is going to finish him off. He did actually. Good job from the IS. I'll give him credit. Did his job. We got the SU-152 all the way off to the side, which, boom, nice tap for 205. So, yeah, you can see the DPM on the Hellcat really is what makes it such a strong vehicle. It gives you the ability to just dump shell after shell after shell after shell after shell into the enemy tanks. And when you're going up against vehicles like the Vulcan over here, even though you are sitting way less hit points, that DPM just makes it so much stronger. There's another nice tap into that Vulcan, and obviously we're going to try and get one more out onto him and reload. There you go. Another nice tap for 85 damage. All that's left on the enemy team is the M6, which obviously, because our Magnus is spotted over there, means that he is over there. I don't think we're going to be able to get there quick enough, but we are pretty much the quickest tank on our team. I would say, actually, I take that back. The LTTB is way faster, but I don't know where the LTTB is. Actually, he's way down there, so that means that we should actually be able to get here. Maybe, just maybe, get one shell in. Come on, reload and fire! Boom, look at that. 76. Not a bad game for the Hellcat. And you can see, if you play this tank correctly, it will do a very, very solid job. 3,004 damage this battle. We were able to rip into the enemy team. And this is just what the hell Super Hellcat's going to play exactly like, in my opinion. I think it'll be a good tank. So, overall, hopefully all of you enjoyed today's video. Obviously, if you want to see more like it, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below, as it helps out the channel a crazy amount. But other than that, hopefully all of you are doing well out there. Stay happy, stay healthy. Let me know what you guys are thinking personally about the Super Hellcat in the comments down below. If you want to see more videos like this, talking about new vehicles in the future, yeah, let me know. But other than that, stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.